Assalamu alaikum and good day everyone. We are the group 3. I am Jilhana Aiza A. De Vera, the first reporter for this group. My discussion is about organizing the enterprise. But first, what is an enterprise? An enterprise is a for-profit business that is started and run by an entrepreneur. Now, when we talk about organizing an enterprise, this includes building relationships with other companies, giving out responsibilities, and choosing the right person or individual for the work. There are 5 steps in organizing an enterprise. Number 1 is determining activities. You need to know your enterprise's objective so that you can determine or enumerate different kinds of activities that your enterprise will need. Second is grouping of activities. After you determine what activity or engagement your enterprise needs, you need to group these activities according to their appropriate department or divisions so that efficient work can be done. Third is assigning duties. When assigning duties, make sure to check or group them properly on the basis of their ability and aptitude. To avoid duplication of work and overlapping of effort, responsibility of each individual should be defined clearly. Fourth is delegating authority. Now, when choosing the individual to assign or be the head of the work, he or she must be commensurate with their responsibility. The fifth step is coordinating activities. Coordination is a must when organizing an enterprise to ensure effective performance. When coordination is achieved, the activities and efforts of different individuals are then synchronized. Let me tell you the Levi story, or the story about how Levi Strauss and Company started. About 100 years ago, Levi Strauss went to the United States as an immigrant to seek fortune. At that time, people went to California because of the California gold rush. So he went to California, but unfortunately, luck was not for him as a gold prospector. However, he recognized the needs of his fellow gold prospectors of a good work pants. So he decided to use his money to put up his tailoring shop with his talent in tailoring. Now, over the years, his shop prospered, and now it is one of the largest apparel company in the world. On to our next topic. Why do you go business? So why do you go business? Is it because someone told you so, or maybe because of the possible wealth you'll gain? Here are some reasons why people go on business. Number 1, because of personal satisfaction. There are people who find their interest and happiness in doing business. Next is family involvement. Some may feel responsible for their family business, so they go and indulge themselves in the world of business. Third reason is maybe because of the independence and power when having your own business. Next is social activities. Some people love social activities or gatherings and are born to be business people. Lastly, it can also be the reason for profit expectation. There are people who want to accumulate wealth and they see that starting a business can help them do so.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. I am Nur Hadia Bansil from STEM 12A from Group 3. I am tasked to discuss these 3 topics. The first one is checking for going to business. The second one is what is an organization, and the last one is organizational structure. Before you start going to business, you need to check these 5 things. The first one is about you. The second one is about your capital. The third one is about the partner. The fourth one is about your customers. And the fifth one is about your qualities. So let me elaborate things you need to check before you go to business. The number 1 is about you. So the first one you need to check in about you is why do you want to put up your own business? It is important to know kung bakit mo gustong simulan ang bagay. Magsisimula ka ba ng business para maghanap ng buhay or para lang sa life experience mo? You need to know it yourself. The next is, do you have experience in the business you like to start? You need to check if may experience ka na ba sa kind ng business na gusto mong simulan. If wala, then kailangan mo pang mag-aral. Aralin ito. The next is, did you work before as a manager? You also need to check if marunong ka ba mag-manage ng business. Kasi ang business ay hindi lang siya basta-basta, kaya kailangan magaling ka mag-manage. The next is, do you have business training? You have to check kung nakapag-training ka ba sa pagbi-business kasi hindi ganun kadali mag-start ng business nang wala kang prior knowledge. Dapat may prior knowledge ka bago mag-start ng business na gusto mo. The next is, do you have money for the business? Ito ang pinaka-importante sa lahat. Kailangan mo ni-check kung may money ka na sapat for the business na gusto mong itayo dahil hindi ka makaka-start if wala kang pampuhunan sa business mo. The next things you need to check is about your capital. The first thing you need to check is, do you know how much money you need for your business? Dapat alam mo kung how much money ang kakakailangan mo sa business na gusto mong simulan. The second one is, do you know how much credit you can get from your suppliers? Dapat alam mo kung how much credit ang makukuha mo sa suppliers. So, dapat mo itong i-check. Do you know where to borrow in case your funds are not enough? You also need to check kung alam mo kung saan hihingi or magbaborrow ng funds kung hindi to sapat sa business mo. The last one is, do you have an estimate of your net income per year? So, you need to check kung alam mo ay kung mayroon kang estimate na net income per year. The next thing you need to check is about a partner. The first thing you need to check is, do you need a partner who has the money and skill? So, you need to check kung kailangan mo ba ng partner na may pera at skills. The second one is, do you know the positive and negative points in choosing single proprietorship, partnership, or corporation? So, you need to check kung alam mo ang positive at negative points ng pagpili ng single proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. The last one is, have you consulted an expert? So, you need to check kung nagkonsulta ka ba sa mga eksperto sa pag-business, lalo na sa kind na business na gusto mong pasukan. The fourth one you need to check is about your customers. The first one is, who are your customers? You need to check kung sino ang target mong customers or buyers para alam mo kung papatok ba ito o hindi. The second one is, do people need a store like yours? You need to check if ang business na sisimulan mo is kailangan ng mga tao para malaman mo kung may magiging customer ka. And the last one is, do people like to live in the place where you intended to put up your business? Sa magiging location ng business mo, may mga tao dito o maganda ba ang paligid para maka-attract ng mga tao? You need to check this thing bago ka mag-decide ng magiging location ng business mo. Kasi para marami kang maging customers. And the fifth one you need to check is about your qualities. The first one is, are you a self-starter? So, you need to check if kakasimula mo pa lang. Kasi, if kakasimula mo pa lang is marami kang gagawin na mas marami kang gagawin. The second one is, how do you feel about other people? You also need to check if kung paano mo i-approach ang mga tao, uh, kung magaling ka ba self-talk or hindi. The third one is, can you lead others? Owning a business is also means leading your staff. So kung anong gagawin at mga plano mo sa business, ay kailangan mo silang i-lead. Can you make decision? That's the fourth one. You need to check if maresponsable ka sa business na sa pagkakatakbo nito. Are you good in planning and organizing? You need to check if may kakayahan ka mag-self-talk at mabilis ka makakumbinsi ng client. Are you hardworking? So, kailangan mo i-check kung hardworking kang tao kasi kailangan ito sa pagbibusiness, ang hard works. The last one is your health good? You need to check if you're in a good health condition kasi pwede kang mamatay sa hirap ng pag-manage ng business. Kaya dapat kasamang health mo sa i-check mo bago ka mag-start ng business. Okay, so the second topic is, what is an organization? An organization is a group of two or more persons who work together to attain a common set of goals, like a neighborhood association, a charity, a union, or a corporation. You can use the word organization to refer to a group or business or to the act of forming or establishing something. Organizing is process of combining and coordinating resources and activities in order to accomplish efficiently and effectively certain objectives. The base resources of organization are its employee, not money, machines, materials, or buildings. Employees are the base of the strong and long-running organization. Employees runs the organization no matter what level. This means their strength, commitment, and dedication, and their emotional connection with the organization can be judged as assets in monetary value. The next topic is organizational structure. Organizational structure is specification of the job to be done within a business and how those jobs relate to one another. Every organization has a structure that indicates a position and relationship. They are shown by an organizational chart. On the top of it is the manager or the owner. So it's either the manager and the owner all on the top of it. In general, business owners are responsible for the growth, stability, direction, and daily operation of the business. Additional job duties for a typical business owner include meeting with the service vendors or product suppliers to facilitate delivery, make buying trips to purchase inventory, creating sales displays, and the manager accomplish department objective and managing staff, planning and evaluating departments activities, maintain staff and recruiting and selecting, orienting and training employees, ensure safe, secure, and legal work environment, developments, personal growth, and opportunities. And sa baba nito ang office supervisor and sales supervisor. So let's go muna sa office supervisor. Office supervisor, also known as office managers. Office supervisors oversee administrative tasks in an office to ensure that they are performed adequately and in a timely manner. Office supervisor perform administrative tasks such as filling, producing reports, ordering office supplies. And sa baba nito, under dito ang accountant, clerk, and messenger. The first one is accountant. Accountant is responsible for the management and reporting of financial data of an organization. The clerk is responsible for performing administrative tasks to support daily business routines, operation. The messenger securely delivers packaged documents, written and verbal messages, and other items to intended location or recipient in a timely manner, manage incoming mail so that it is opened, sorted, and distributed in a professional and timely manner, process outgoing email. So the next one is the sales supervisors. Sales supervisors has job responsibility of direct and supervise employees engaged in a sales, taking inventory, recalling cash receipts, or in a performing service for customers. Monitor sales activities to ensure that customers receive satisfactory service and quality goods. Inventory stock and recorder when necessary. Under the sales supervisor are the salesman. The salesman serve as the point of the contact between business and its prospect or clients and have a range of responsibilities, including identifying and educating prospective customers while supporting existing clients with information and assistance that relates to products and service.
Good day, I'm Jahada Ihajihil and I'm going to discuss the two topics which is the choosing the forms of business organization and forms of business organization. First is choosing the forms of business organization. Selecting the right business organization is an essential part of starting a new small business. Kapag ang mga may-ari ng negosyo ay nagparehistro ng isang bagong negosyo, dapat din nilang sabihin ang uri ng organisasyon o istruktura na kanilang gagamitin para sa kanilang negosyo. Each option has distinct qualities o natatanging katangian pati na rin ang mga kalamangan at kahinaan that business owner needs to consider before making a commitment. Choosing the right type of organization for a new business comes down to a little research and an understanding of the responsibilities involved with each structure. Okay, number one is research the different types of business organizations. The most important structure to consider include the sole proprietorships, the partnerships, the corporation, in addition to S corporation, and the limited liability company or LLC. The sole proprietorship is, as the name suggests, owned by a single person, and the partnership, corporation, and LLC allow for multiple owners to understand the specific differences among each. Number two is determine the liability you want for the business. A sole proprietor is personally and financially responsible for the business, and the business income is filed on the business owner's personal tax statements. If the business fails, the sole proprietor's personal asset can be tapped to pay off business debts. Other business structures, including the corporation and LLC. create distance between the business owner or owners and other personal assets by making the business a unique legal entity. Number 3 is decide on the number of owners. A sole proprietorships allow for one official owner only, and the other business structures allow for multiple partners. The sole proprietorships can limit the difficulties that may arise when multiple people own a single business, but partners provide for expanded initial contribution to the business and shared liability for its operations. Number 4, choose the tax structure that is best for you and your business. As noted, a sole proprietor files all business information on his personal taxes because the business is not registered as a separate legal entity. At the same time, sole proprietors are also taxed only once rather than twice, once for personal, once for the business. Similarly, business owners in a partnership or an LLC do not have to file separate business taxes. Although in these two cases, the business is recognized separately from its owners, limited personal liability in case of business failure. A corporation is an entirely separate entity, however, and the owners must file separate corporation taxes. This means that corporation owners are essentially taxed twice, once at the personal level and once at the business level. Last is number 5. Consider the amount of record keeping that you are willing and able to do for the business. Record keeping is an essential part of running any business, but the types of record that you keep for the business will depend on its structure. The more complex the business structure, the more record keeping is required. In other words, expect to keep more records for a corporation than you would for a sole proprietorship, because record keeping required for the business structure vary widely by state. So we are here in forms of business organization. So there are 4 main types of business organization, which is sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporation, and limited liability company or LLC. I'm going to give an explanation of each of these and how they are used in the scope of business law. Sole proprietorship. When we say proprietor, it is the owner of business or a holder property, and sole is one and only, the simplest and most common form of business ownership. Sole proprietorship is a business owned and run by someone for their own benefit. The business existence is entirely dependent on the owner's decisions. So, when the owner dies, so does the business. These are the advantages and disadvantages of the sole proprietorship. Next is partnership. These come in 2 types, general and limited. In general partnerships, both owners invest their money, property, labor, etc. to the business and are both 100% liable for business debts. In other words, even if you invest a little into a general partnership, you are still potentially responsible for all its debt. General partnerships do not require a formal agreement. Partnerships can be verbal or even implied between the 2 business owners. And this is the advantages and disadvantages of the partnerships. Next is corporation. Corporations are for tax purposes separate entities and are considered a legal person. This means, among other things, that our profits generated by a corporation are taxed as the personal income of the company. Then, any income distributed to the shareholders as dividend or profits are taxed again as the personal income of the owners. And this is the advantages and disadvantages of corporation. Last is limited liability company or LLC. Similar to a limited partnership, an LLC provides owner with limited liability while providing some of the income advantages of a partnership. Essentially, the advantages of partnerships and corporation are combined in an LLC, mitigating some of the disadvantages of each. And this is the advantages and disadvantages of the LLC.
Assalamualaikum and again good morning. My name is Abdul Rauf A. Sanday from STEM 12A Group 3. My task here is to discuss the three topics in the entrepreneurship subject, which are the cooperatives, an enterprise for the poor, the dimensions of structural organization, and lastly, the entrepreneurial consideration. So let's proceed. First, let us define the cooperative code or the RA 6938. It is defined a cooperative as duly registered association of persons with a common bond of interest who have voluntarily joined together to achieve a lawful common social or economic end, making equitable contribution to the capital required, and accepting a fair share of the risks and benefits of the undertaking in accordance with the universally accepted principles of cooperations, which include the following. First, open and voluntarily membership. Democratic control. Third, limited interest on capital. Fourth, division of net surplus. Fifth, cooperative education. And lastly, the cooperation with other cooperatives. So the cooperation code, which are defined as a businessman or businesswoman that as duly registered association of person, it must have a common bond of interest and voluntarily join together to achieve a lawful common social or economic end that makes an equitable contribution to the capital required and accepting a fair risk and benefits of the undertaking in accordance with the universally accepted principle of cooperations. Next, the objective of cooperatives. So firstly, we have to encourage the thrift and saving among the members. Yes. Secondly, to generate funds and extend credit to the members for productive and provident purposes. Third is to encourage among our members the systematic production and the marketing, to provide goods and services and other requirements to the membership, to develop expertise and skills among its members, to acquire lands and provide housing benefits for our members, to promote and advance the economic, social, and educational status of the members, and lastly is to establish, own, lease, or operate banks, cooperative wholesale and retail complexes, insurance and agricultural or industrial processing enterprises, and public marketing. So we have here types of cooperatives. Firstly, the credit cooperative promotes thrift among its members and create funds in order to grant loans for productive and provident purposes. So from the word credit cooperative, so in this part, as a business, the members must among our members, we must create funds in order for us to grant loans for the productive for our business, Secondly, the consumers cooperatives procures and distribute commodities to its members and non-members. So from the word consumer, so as a businessman or as a businesswoman, we must distribute a commodities to our either members or non-members. So third, producers cooperative undertake joint production in agriculture and industry. Yes, as we all know that producers, as a businessman, we must join in the production in agriculture and industry, which are, for example, is like planting a rice, just like that, and anything that has a connection with agriculture and industry production. Fourth, we have here the marketing cooperative. It engages in the supplies of the production inputs to members and markets their products. Fifth, service cooperatives. So in the part of service cooperatives, it undertakes the medical and dental care, hospitalization, transportation, insurance, housing, labor, electric light, and power communication, and other services. And lastly, multi-purpose cooperative, from the word multi-purpose. So it means that it combines two or more of the business activities of the different types of cooperatives. So it just not only one or two business activities, but it can be two or more, just that is a different types of cooperative. So next, the organizing a cooperative. So for the membership, there should be a minimum of 15 persons, natural person. They should be a citizen of the Philippines who are residing or working in an intended area of cooperatives of the operation of the cooperative. So for the membership, we need a minimum of 15 persons that is a citizen of the Philippines that is voluntary or who wants to work in the intended area of operation of the cooperative. So before we can organize the cooperative, the group leader should first study the following factors. First, the felt need, kung ano yung kinakailangan o kung ano yung kailangan ng ating community or ng ating kung ano yung kailangan sa ating area. Secondly, volume and business. Third, availability of qualified officers. Fourth, adequacy of facilities. And lastly, the opportunity for growth. So before we proceed to be a member of the business, we must have these requirements. The board of directors, with the assistance of the members of the documents committee, should prepare all the documents necessary for the registration of the cooperative. So, like I said, before we become a members of cooperative, we must also meet all the necessary documents that is needed for the registration. So, it is said that documents shall be submitted to the Cooperative Development Authority. So, we need 4 copies of the economic survey with a general statement describing the structure, purpose, economic feasibility, area of operation, size of membership, and other pertinent data. Next, we need 4 copies of articles or cooperations together with bond of accountable officers, 4 copies of bylaws, and lastly, the registration fee payable to Cooperate Development Authority. Next, the dimension of organizational structure. Firstly, divide the work of the organization into separate parts. Assign these parts to position with the organization. This is called job design. So, job design in this part, in a business, we must divide the work of its members. Halimbawa na lang, in this part, this is what you do. And in this part, this is what you do as a member of that business. So, we must assign every members in our organization. We must assign the position of every member in our organization. Number 2, group the various positions into manageable units. This is departmentalization of the organization. So we must group the various positions into manageable units. 3, distribute the responsibility and authority within the organization. The result is centralization of the organization. So centralization of the organization is different from the departmentalization of the organization. In number 3, centralization of organization, we must distribute the responsibility and authority of each member in our organization. In the departmentalization of the organization, we must group the various positions into manageable units. Okay? So, number 4, determine the number of subordinates who will report to each manager. This is called span of management. So, span of management. In our organization, the number of our subordinates must be determined. So, in this part, dapat siya yung mag-report dun sa isang manager. In this part naman, siya yung mag-report dun sa isang manager. So like that. And fifth, distinguish between those positions with direct authority and those that are support position. This is the chain of command. So, chain of command, we must distinguish or differentiate between those positions with direct authority and those that are support position. So, next, departmentalization. So, in departmentalization, firstly, we must have function. Yes, function, all jobs that pertains to the same activity are grouped. So in a function, all jobs that pertain to the same activity are grouped. So in this part, we must group the members that has the same activity in the organization or in the business. Secondly, product. All activities related to a particular product or product group are put together. So we must put together the particular product or that is a product group in our business. Secondly, location. Yes, activities are grouped based on a particular geographic area. So in the activities of departmentalization, in a group you must base it on a particular or in a necessary area. Okay? Fourth, customer. Grouping of activities in accordance to the needs of various customers. So in our organization, we must group the activities. In each member, we must provide a group for them in a different activities that is accordance to the needs of various customer. So for example, sa mall, right? We observe that each of their member has a different job or has a different responsibility in their job. Like for example, the salesman and the sales lady, they have a different job that they have to do. For example, the salesman work is to arrange the product or to be a something that is accountants in the business. Next, decentralization of authority. One part of managers' work and power is assigned to a subordinate. Yes, that is true. Because as a manager, from the word manage, your work is just to manage your subordinates or your members in your organization. So the work in the power is assigned to your member or to your subordinate. Okay? So the latter involves the granting of responsibility, authority, and accountable. So let me discuss these three so you will know the difference of this. Firstly is responsibility. Is a duty to do the job. Is a duty. The keyword there is duty, which is if in your organization, the one that you, as a manager, the one that you assign in one of your member, that that job is your responsibility to do. That is your responsibility to do the job. Next, authority. Okay? Authority is the power to do the job. So, in the job that is given to you as a member, for example, in being an accountant, so your authority there is your power. So, as an accountant, I have the power to do this job because that is your authority. And also that is your responsibility because that is the duty that is given to you. Next is accountability. It's an obligation to do the job. The keyword there is obligation. So that is your obligation as a member of the organization to do that job. There is a centralization of authority when authority widely spread in the lower levels of the organization. In the hand, if authority is concentrated at the upper levels, there is centralization of authority. There is a several factors which requires decentralization of the enterprise. One is the external environment of the enterprise. If it is a complex and unpredictable, lower management should be allowed to make the decision. So in your business or organizations, if there is a problem or there is a complicated problem that you need to decide, the lower management is allowed to make the decision. Not just the top management, but the low management. They have the power to make the decision. Another is if the decision are not risk, then it can be delegated to the lower levels of management. So lower management levels can also make a decision kung hindi naman masyado risky or hindi naman masyado delikado in your business. Also, if the lower level management is competent in decision making skills, top management is encouraged to decentralize the authority. So if ang lower level management is competent, kumbaga they have a skills to do a decision making, so the top management is encouraged to decentralize the authority, so they can give the authority to make a decision in the lower level management. Next, the line and staff authority. Okay, so authority passes from the highest level to the lowest level. Yes, this is called line of authority. Okay, so like you see in this chart, ito yung sabi na from highest level to the lowest. Highest from president to the marketing manager, production manager, and the finance manager. Ito yung sabi na line of authority. This one. The vice president report directly to the president. So it is said that vice president directly reported to the president. So if there is an update or something wrong with their in your product or in your organization, so as a vice president, you need to report directly to the president. Okay? The supervisor report directly to the manager. So, yung mga supervisors naman, they must directly report to the manager. Okay? So, there's a direct responsibility in the line authority. So, as a part of line authority, they have a direct responsibility. So, they must possibly, or they must do that directly as their part of the responsibility. In the case of staff authority, so sa staff authority naman tayo, it is not part of the chain of command. So sabi dito, di ba, in the chain of command distinguish between those position and direct authority and those that are support position. Sabi doon, distinguish, right? So in the chain of command, they must separate the position of the direct authority and those that are support position. But here, in the staff authority, hindi po ito sila chain of command. Each job is to provide support, advice, and expertise to line authority. So, as a part of staff authority, our job or their job is to give or provide support or advice to the line authority. They have no accountability. For example, the presidential advisors or assistant is a staff position. So, presidential advisors or assistant is a staff position. So like we see in this chart, we have here the president, the consultant, vice president, legal advisor, the marketing manager, production manager, and lastly the finance manager. So as we see this, note that the line authority is this straight line and the staff authority is this line that has a gap between them. So the consultant is the staff authority between the president and the vice president, and legal advisor is the staff authority between the marketing manager, production manager, finance manager, and to the vice president. So that is the difference between the line and staff authority in a position of line and staff. Okay. So lastly, we have entrepreneurial consideration. Yes. Firstly, we have financial. The entrepreneur must be knowledge about the financial aspect of business decision. Yes, as an entrepreneur, you must have a knowledge. You must have a clear knowledge about the financial aspect in your business. Secondly, marketing. As an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur must be well versed on the 4 P's of marketing, which are the product, price, place, and promotion. So dapat as an entrepreneur, you must know these 4 P's of marketing. Okay. Third, managerial skills. Yes, the entrepreneur must be able to identify the strength and weakness of his personnel. So as an entrepreneur, you must have a skill of being a manager in your part. Okay, as an entrepreneur, you must identify the strength and the weakness of his personnel. Okay, and lastly, the overall personal decision making process. The entrepreneur should have a true evaluation of what is to be attained by going into business and what human financial resources are available and necessary. So as an entrepreneur, you should have an evaluation. Dapat may evaluation ka kung ano ba yung kukunin mo na business. You must also know kung ano ba yung necessary in both human and financial resources. Thank you very much. That ends my report here.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, ma'am. I'm Ruwaisa Umal Andam from STEM 12A, and today I'm going to talk about the entrepreneur 2 topics. That is, put up a new enterprise or buy, and step in starting a new business. So here are some advantage of buying established business. Number 1, nakakatipid ito ng oras, gastos at pagsisikap sa paghahanap ng lokasyon. Number 2, mayroon itong umiiral na mga customer. Number 3, ang mga kawalan ng katiyakan tungkol sa mga physical na posibilidad, mga kinakailangan sa inventaryo at mga pangangailangan ng tauhan ay nababawasan. Number 4, maaaring ito ay makukuha sa murang halaga dahil sa mabilis na pagbebenta. On the other hand, buying an existing business enterprise has some disadvantage, such as number 1, ang lokasyon ay maaaring hindi na maginhawa sa mga customer, nasanhi ng mga problema sa paradahan, pagkasira ng neighborhood, pagbabago ng pedestrian at daloy ng tropiko bukod sa iba pang mga bagay. Number 2, ang kasalukuyang may-ari o negosyo ay maaaring magkaroon ng masamang imahe sa komunidad. Number 3, maaaring malipas na ang mga pisikal na posibilidad na nangangailangan ng mamahaling pagkukumpuni o pagsasaayos. Number 4, maaaring malipas na ang inventaryo at hindi maganda ang kalidad. Number 5, maaaring masyadong mataas ang presyo ng kasalukuyang negosyo. So, step in starting a new business. So, number 1, plan the business. Number 2, select the appropriate form of business organization. Number 3, scout for reasonable credit or financing. Number 4, choose a good location. 5, secure license or permits for the business operation. Number 6, set up records for financial, physical, and personnel resources. Number 7, insure the business if necessary. Number 8, promote the business. Number 9, manage the business. And last, do your social responsibility. And that will be all for the group 3.